Ladies and gentlemen, this is TVP World. You're watching another edition of Break the Fake, where we debunk fake news and combat false narratives. I'm your host, Benjamin Lee, and let's get rolling. A scandal recently flared up on Polish and pro-Russian social media. As usual, it started loudly and then quietly faded when someone checked the facts. A user under the name Polka na Belkanach, along with several other accounts, claimed that Polish generators sent to Kyiv as humanitarian aid were immediately put up for sale online by Ukrainians. According to the post, the proof was simple. Aid arrived, and the next day, generators were allegedly for sale on a website similar to eBay or Facebook Marketplace. The main evidence was a screenshot of an online listing offering a Polish-made Vogel diesel generator for sale in Ukraine. The post came with the usual emotional captions. Poles collect the money, Ukrainians sold it. Followed by the classic internet conclusion. Yeah, it was predictable. See, the story was amplified by claims that this generator came from the Warm from Poland for Kyiv campaign, which raised over $2 million. It sounds convincing until you check the timeline. The Support Ukraine Fund campaign started on January 16th of 2026. The first generators arrived in Kyiv on January 26th and were officially handed over to the Kyiv city administration. The online listing appeared the next day on January 27th, but the photo in the ad shows the factory plate with the year of manufacture listed as 2024 and a visible serial number. The seller confirmed by phone that he bought the generator back in 2024 and is now selling it to upgrade to a more powerful model. The generator had logged 450 working hours and passed a technical inspection in December of 2025, a full month before the charity campaign even began. Vogel has officially confirmed that the generator with the serial number was manufactured and sold to a Ukrainian distributor in 2024 and is not related to the Warmth from Poland to Kyiv program. In other words, this is a regular commercial generator some dude was using himself, not the ones being sent for the purpose of humanitarian aid. This story does not show the betrayal of Ukrainians, but rather the poverty of arguments among those who fight reality with screenshots. When facts do not fit the desired narrative, they're simply ignored, and an ordinary commercial generator is turned into proof of corruption. Polish aid is working. Generators are where they should be in critical infrastructure, not on internet marketplaces. And the only thing that is really being sold on a massive scale in the story is fake news. While Kyiv residents head into shelters, boil water on camping stove, and squint at neighboring buildings to see if anyone still has electricity, the Russian propaganda machine hummed along without a hitch. Television studios and social media platforms stay perfectly lit, pushing the narrative that the strikes on the Ukrainian capital are naturally military targets. Always military, never kitchens, not bedrooms, definitely not people trying to make tea in the dark. See, Kremlin commentators explain that transformer substations, thermal power plants, boiler rooms, and power lines are not part of a city's life support system. No, they're cleverly disguised NATO headquarters. Apparently, it's somewhere between the boiler and the elevator shaft. A particularly dangerous general is hiding, possibly armed.
А кто-то сказал, понимаете, там вот европейские лидеры, которые начинают рассказывать, они начинают сострадать Зеленскому, они начинают выдавать какие-то сентенции. Да? А кто-то из вас посмотрел, что Киев максимально стянул под зонтик ПВО, в киевскую столицу, натащили туда военное производство и военные склады. То есть это абсолютно нормальные военные цели, по которым, естественно, прилетают. Потому что российская сторона работает над снижением или над ослаблением военных возможностей Украины. Если бы, не дай бог, России хоть когда-то пришло в голову делать то же самое, что делает украинская сторона, поверьте, количество людей, которые погибли, они были бы многократно больше. Просто многократно, несопоставимо.
The truth is, Russia is systematically trying to plunge Kyiv into cold and darkness by attacking critical infrastructure. This is no longer a strategy, it is an obsession. And every time a missile hits a facility that provides heat and light to millions of people, the propaganda machine instantly flipped the switch to justification mode. A precision strike, legitimate target, all in accordance with international law. The slogans stay warm, even when the city does not. Kremlin mouthpieces stubbornly avoid one very simple question. If these are military targets, why do residential areas, hospitals, kindergartens lose heating after the strikes? The answer is apparently too complicated for airtime. It is much easier to say that the people of Kyiv are to blame. And if Russian TV is to be believed, Kyiv itself is still a military target, while frozen civilians are just statistical error. Which begs the question, if all of this is really about military targets, why does this war increasingly look less like a fight with an army and more like a war on electrical grids, power plants, and light switches? Recently, Yuri Ushakov, Putin's assistant, floated an idea that sounded almost courteous. Ukraine, he said, could allegedly come to Moscow for talks. He said, and I quote, "If Zelensky is really ready for a meeting, then please, we invite him." Yeah, very gracious, very diplomatic. Almost sounds like an invitation for tea.
И наш подход, как представляется, вполне логичен. И Владимир Владимирович несколько раз, общаясь с журналистами, затрагивал эту тему. И суть подхода сводится к тому, что мы никогда не отказывались и не отказываемся от такого рода контактов. Главное, чтобы эти контакты были хорошо подготовлены. Это первое. А во-вторых, чтобы они были ориентированы на достижение конкретных позитивных результатов. И президент наш тоже несколько раз, общаясь с журналистами, говорил, что если Зеленский действительно готов к встрече, то мы, пожалуйста, мы приглашаем его в Москву, и при этом гарантированно обеспечим безопасность его и необходимые условия для работы.
At first glance, it looks polite. But then you remember that Moscow has been visiting Ukrainian cities with missiles, aerial bombs, and strike drones for 4 years straight. In that context, a trip to Moscow feels a bit questionable, to put it mildly. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has repeatedly said he is ready to negotiate anywhere except Moscow. After all, it is not very comfortable to discuss peace inside the apartment of someone who keeps repairing the neighbors' homes with missiles. So Ushakov's invitation ends up looking like a classic Kremlin PR trick. Polite words set against very real aggression. Ukraine has already made its position clear. Peace talks are possible only where it is safe and where sovereignty is respected. In that sense, Zelensky's choice is obvious. Talk about peace, yes. Take risks, sure. But walk willingly into hostile territory, probably not. Ushakov, meanwhile, is left with nothing but verbal hospitality because Ukraine does not need negotiations staged in Moscow. So, Moscow is preparing a fresh twist in its never-ending fight against corruption. The Russian Ministry of Defense is about to get the right to check citizens' credit histories. According to a draft order, the head of the main military political directorate of the Russian armed forces will gain access to full financial data, including loans, debts, and guarantors. Apparently, patriotism now comes with a credit score. Now, at first glance, this looked like concern for financial discipline, but the GVPU, the military directorate, is not an anti-corruption body. It is a structure responsible for military patriotic work in the army. In plain language, the Kremlin is merging financial surveillance with ideological supervision. Experts note that credit history may now become a pressure tool in the context of mobilization. The military will be able to identify financially vulnerable citizens and gently encourage them to sign a contract of their own free will. It is easy to imagine how this plays out. A utility debtor get a call from the enlistment office. Congratulations, we checked your credit rating. You qualify for an exciting career opportunity in uniform. Under the banner of anti-corruption, Moscow is quietly building a new control system where security structures gain access to citizens' personal and financial data. This is another step towards a textbook military police state, one where debt is no longer just a financial problem, but a potential mobilization trigger. In this system, owing money is not just a mistake, it is a recruitment profile. And with that, we conclude this edition of Break the Fake. But for more news, update, and commentary, please stay tuned to TVP World.